Howdy, Ray.
How do, Alan? I'd like to pick up on this comment that Donald Trump has made recently about waterboarding for terror suspects.
Okay.
I think it's a good idea. I think that torture works. To a lesser extent, I'm a retired police officer, and before the Police and Criminal Evidence Act came into force in 1994, we used, I think, what could be described as intensive interrogation techniques, and we got a hell of a lot more convictions than when the Act came in, because the Act provided all kinds of protection for the suspects. We weren't allowed to interview them until they'd seen a solicitor. A solicitor was allowed to be present during the interview, etc., etc. And it really made me angry, and fellow officers angry as well, that people that we'd arrested and done a lot of work arresting them, getting the evidence, were just able to walk out of court because, generally speaking, the solicitors...
Let me try a few questions, and I promise not to put the screws on your thumbs. So, the convictions you got, you said you needed to take evidence to court.
Yes.
So, did you have the evidence?
With their admissions.
Oh, right. So, you didn't have evidence, you just had...
We had evidence, but the strongest evidence was their admissions.
Right, so you had a guilty plea and that was the strongest evidence. So you had no other evidence to incriminate, or not sufficient evidence to incriminate that individual, and you just tortured them until they said they did it.
No, we had sufficient evidence to arrest them.
No, remember the question. Look, Ray. You're an ex-police officer. You probably know how questions and answers work. So let me try the question again and see if you can get an answer to fit it rather than one that suits your case better. So here's the question again. Did you have enough evidence to get a conviction if you did not have the admission?
In certain cases, but the admission certainly strengthened.
Well, okay, let's go with the certain cases. In the cases where you did have enough physical non-admission evidence to get a conviction, did you torture them just for fun?
We didn't torture them for fun.
Well, hang on. I know I would have covered it there. So let's try another question, because I've got the answer to that. You seem to say that there were some cases where you had enough evidence to get a conviction, and yet you still bullied a confession out of the accused. Am I right in that that's what you were telling me?
No.
Right. If there was sufficient evidence to get a conviction, Alan, you didn't bully them. Is that what you're telling me?
Alan, evidence is very elastic. Some juries would convict on some evidence, and some juries would acquit on exactly the same evidence.
I understand that.
When we have admission evidence, it strengthens the case.
Right. So you thought rather than leave it to the jury and leave it to the evidence, we'll kick a confession out of him.
We would strengthen the evidence.
But is that how you did it, by kicking a confession out of him?
I'm not about to make admissions of that kind. But
well, you're defending torture, so you're going to look like a barn pot if you don't. When you say pressure, do you mean you spoke to him loudly or threatened to tell his mum? What did you do? Remember, you came on here to talk about torture, and then you told me how you used it. Are you now backtracking from that because it turns out you're either a liar or an idiot?
Certainly not.
Right, so did you torture them?
Depends how you define torture.
Well, define it your way. Tell me what you did to them. Don't say patronising crap words. You're not talking to some junkie off the street now. You're talking to me, you useless cretin. So, did you torture them?
Depends how you define torture.
Well, you define it. You're the one that used it. You define it, you useless cretin. Tell me, what did you do?
Sometimes we'd shout at them, sometimes we'd give them a slap.
Right, well, if you were near enough, I'd give you one, you useless toe rag.